4 out of 10, or nearly half of Canadians, made the choice of when to start CPP without consulting anyone or consulting any outside information. They just kind of went with their gut on that decision. And that really shocked me, considering how big of a decision this is and the potential lost income that they're giving up.
Welcome to the Steadyhand Coffee Break series, where we dive into topics of interest to Canadians as they plan for and live in retirement. Now, CPP, or Canada Pension Plan, is a hot topic for a lot of Canadians, and it's said that there are over 1,000 of us turning 65 every day. That magic number is typically associated with a lot of things related to getting older. Seniors discounts, old age security, and retirement are often conflated with turning 65. Well, so is CPP. And for many of us, CPP is or will play a big role in funding our retirement. But for almost anyone considering the role of CPP in funding life after paid work, there's a big decision to make. And that's, when should you start taking CPP benefits? Should you start at 60, 65, or wait until 70? And the decision's important. And with limited exception, it's irreversible. Now, to help us understand CPP and to guide our decision making, we're joined today by Jason Evans, an advice-only financial planner. Jason works with Canadians from across the country, helping them with their retirement income planning. Jason, welcome, and thanks for joining me today.
Hi, David. Happy to be here.
Now, Jason, this video today was inspired by your October 2023 blog post titled "The Dangers of the CPP Breakeven Calculation." Well, that got me intrigued. And we'll link to that blog in the video notes below. But before we get into those dangers lurking, let's kick off with a brief explanation of the basics of the Canada Pension Plan and who's eligible for benefits. Can you walk us through all that?
Yep. So the Canada Pension Plan is a retirement income plan that is based on contributions. And for eligibility, anyone who has made contributions to the plan and is at least age 60 is eligible to start receiving benefits. There has been recent changes to the plan where they've increased the maximum. For people starting benefits now, the contributions that they've made throughout their employment history will determine how much they receive in retirement.
You mentioned that the CPP has recently been enhanced. Let's just knock that off. What are the enhancements? Both, I imagine, on the benefit side, but also there's maybe some increased contributions?
There are increased contributions as one portion of the CPP enhancement, and there's also an increase in the overall amount of income that CPP is trying to replace. So the total amount of contributions has gone up for all income levels, as well as that threshold has gotten higher. And in exchange for those higher contributions, the targeted income replacement that CPP is trying to do has gone up from 25% of that employment earnings to 33% is the new target. It's going to take a number of years before people start making enough contributions to actually receive that benefit. So it's going to be retirees in 30, 40 years who are going to get that full benefit.
Oh, okay. So don't get too excited if you're in your 60s today, sort of thing. Okay, cool. Now, Jason, I'm really excited to get into this break-even analysis with you because I'm actually one of those 1,000 Canadians turning 65 this year, so I'm quite dialed into this discussion. What is the process for applying for CPP benefits?
So the first thing that I would suggest all Canadians do is sign up for a My Service Canada account. That will get you access to your CPP estimate, your CPP contribution history, and as well as being able to have the tools to make that application. For applying for the CPP, I would definitely recommend applying online rather than the paper process. Applying online is going to be faster. You're going to get immediate confirmation that that's been received. Whereas if you apply by paper, it's going to be longer and you're not going to have that confirmation as soon.
I recall a couple of months ago doing that. I never had a My Service account. I always had a CRA account. And the process was actually quite smooth. And then it allowed me to go in and see what my contribution history has been. And I was reminded that in 1985, I actually moved to the United States for a year. And that's why my income all of a sudden went dramatically lower in terms of Canadian reported income. And then I took a sabbatical in 2009, and I saw that. I was reminded of all of that when I looked through all of my CPP history, and then I was also able to see what my CPP benefits might look like. So it's a pretty easy process to go through, and I totally agree with you. I encourage anybody in approaching their 60s to start to get that process going. Okay, it's time to get into those dangers that you discuss in your blog. Now, everybody wants to get the most out of their CPP. They've paid into it for decades. How do you, Jason, coach and guide your planning clients on when to take CPP?
So I let clients know that the standard age for starting CPP is 65, but they do have the option to either take it early or wait and take it later at all the way up to age 70. So the reduction, if you start it before 65, is 7.2% per year. So if you start at age 60, the total reduction in benefits would be a 36% reduction. On the option that you defer, the benefit increases by 8.4% each year you delay, and that adds up to a 42% increase at age 70. And so that total benefit, if you look at the difference between the benefit at age 60 versus the age 70 benefit, it's more than double the amount of CPP. So really a big difference in the amount that you can receive.
Wow. So you're saying if you take it at 65, the sort of notional age that people would take it, you get $1. If you take it earlier, as early as at age 60, you get $1 minus 36% per year. And then if you wait until you're 70, you get $1 plus 42%.
Yep, that's right.
And all of those numbers are shown in a very illustrative table in that blog that we referred to. And the purpose of that table is to demonstrate clearly that if you defer, you're going to be better off over the course of a reasonable lifetime. Can you talk a little bit about how much better off? I mean, do you know the actual numbers in your head of how much you're going to receive?
Yeah, so in the table, we look at the benefit of deferring for the average Canadian, so an average person who's already age 65. And when you look at that number, the benefit of deferring can be up to $100,000 or more, just by being patient and waiting for that increased benefit later on, and then having that benefit from age 70 to the average life expectancy. And a lot of people confuse the average life expectancy at birth versus average life expectancy at age 60 or 65. And once you've already made it to 60 or 65, that average life expectancy from that point is much larger than the average life expectancy at birth. So that's a common misconception.
In your calculations, you indicated that the maximum CPP benefit to a Canadian, the maximum, not the average, last year at the age of 65, that notional time of taking CPP is about $15,700. I rounded it up to $700, $15,500. But if instead you were to accelerate when you took CPP to 60, that benefit would drop down to just $10,000 a year. But if you waited until 70, the benefit would increase to over $22,000. So by waiting an extra 10 years, you're actually, as you said, more than doubling, considerably more than doubling the amount of money you're going to get per year. And that's this whole notion of the whole break-even analysis doesn't take into account the fact that longevity, as you said, longevity tables and mortality tables shift. The older you are, the longer in all probability you're going to live. I think the reframing concept that you bring to is really important because we know from behavioral finance that the idea of losing something is outweighed in people's minds than the value of getting something. And so to encourage people to realize how much they're going to lose out on if they take the benefit early is a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah, I agree. The way that people frame the decision is so important, and that's why I like this new method of examining CPP, this lifetime loss, because it really shows people the dollar amount of what they're giving up by starting CPP early.
I've read statistically that the average age that Canadians take up CPP or start to receive benefits is only 62.5. Given the work you do and the knowledge that you bring to this issue, I guess you would expect to see that age rising in the future.
Yeah, and that has been the case since about 2012. The uptake rate starting at age 60, so the earliest age, has been declining. So fewer people are taking the CPP as soon as they can, and they're opting to defer it a little bit longer than that. So in 2012, the average uptake rate was in the mid 30s. And in 2022, I believe is the most recent number, it's down to about mid 20s for uptake rate at 60. And so that shows a strong trend towards people delaying that benefit. So they're getting the message, and in some cases, it might be hard to defer all the way to 70, but it is a strong option that I think people should consider more. And unfortunately, a lot of Canadians aren't giving a lot of weight to this consideration. And I think that's because they don't really understand how important it is to their retirement security.
So you mentioned Bonnie G. McDonald. She's a director at the National Institute on Aging here in Toronto, and she has authored a number of studies on CPP and Canadians' approach to it. Most recently, she's just released the first of 7 brand new studies. Last week, the first one came out. I think you've had a chance to take a quick look at it. Jason, did anything jump off the pages at you?
Yeah, there were 2 stats that I found that really surprised me. The first was that 4 out of 10, or nearly half of Canadians, made the choice of when to start CPP without consulting anyone or consulting any outside information. They just kind of went with their gut on that decision. And that really shocked me, considering how big of a decision this is and the potential lost income that they're giving up. One other statistic that I found surprising was that 4 out of 5 QPP recipients who started their benefits at 60, so at the earliest available date, could have deferred, and they had enough money to wait for their benefits to start, but they still started early. And so that, to me, tells me that there's some lack of information on making a wise financial choice there.
Now, I mentioned earlier that CPP benefits, once you decide to take them, it's kind of an irreversible issue. But are there ways that CPP recipients can adjust their benefits after they start receiving them?
With the CPP, there is the option, if you catch it early enough, to cancel the start of benefits. So within 12 months, you do have the option to say, oops, I made a mistake. I'd like to cancel my benefit, and wait to defer the benefit and get a larger benefit down the road. You do have to pay back the amounts you've received up until that point. So it can be a little painful for some people to do, but that is an option that is available, and it's a great option that gives people some flexibility. Once they've started their benefits and they've decided they want to keep them, there's not many adjustments that can be made. There's CPP pension sharing that between spouses you can kind of make a division of the CPP benefits and levelize the income on the tax return, which can help bring down overall tax rates. One other good reason for having this Service Canada account is that allow you to make adjustments to your withholding taxes. One thing that I often see with retirees is they'll start their CPP, they won't have any income tax taken off by default, and when they do their taxes, they find that they have a large balance owing because no taxes was taken off that source of income. So you might want to go in there and make sure you've got a sufficient amount taken off. Otherwise, you might have to pay a bit more at tax time.
Okay, so that's great. And just to clarify, you have 1 year from the application or 1 year from when you receive your first benefit to say, yeah, you know what, I want to defer.
1 year from the start that you receive benefits.
Let's wrap it up. And if you have any sort of high level or sort of, must have advice for someone trying to navigate and optimize their CPP benefits, what would it be? Maybe you've got some resources. Certainly your blog is fantastic, and we'll definitely link to that.
The main point that I want to get across is that this is a big decision, and it's a one and done decision. You make it once and you never have to think about it again. So it really is worth the benefit of investing a little bit of time, understanding the benefits. And that also includes looking at life expectancy and trying to understand what that is for you. One of the resources that we'll link to is a life expectancy calculator that takes into account lifestyle factors. And so that can help give people an idea of how long they're going to live to and what's the chance of living longer than average as well. So looking at those considerations for life expectancy and just the numbers involved and really analyzing the details really pays off.
Couldn't agree with you more. And as I mentioned, turning 65 this year, it's on my mind, and I'm deferring. Well, Jason, thank you for sharing your insights and knowledge on this hot topic for so many Canadians. And if people are interested in learning more about the work that you're doing at Evans Retirement Planning, how can they connect with you?
I've got a website. I also have a retirement planning checklist on the website to help people plan their retirement, make sure they've got all the boxes checked. And I'm also fairly active on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Perfect. Well, we'll include a link to your website in the video notes below as well. Thank you all for watching today, and be sure to leave any comments or questions that you might have on today's coffee break. And again, I invite you to subscribe to the Steadyhand YouTube channel and ask to be notified when we load up new content. Thanks again for watching, and bye for now.